Hey guys, it's Di, and today I'm going to be making a dress-up Elsa wig for Natalie to wear for Halloween. And if all goes well, I may try doing a Rapunzel one with yellow yarn as well. But today I'm going to be making this for hopefully Halloween, and then my thought was the girls could also use this for dress-up play afterwards too. So I had been looking at possibly purchasing one of these. You see these sometimes on the custom listings for custom dresses, and you see them a lot in different custom groups. It's just basically a braid made out of yarn that the kids can wear, and they can use it for dress-up, or in our case, I'm hoping she will wear it for Halloween. And I thought about just purchasing one, and I was kind of going back and forth like, oh, I could probably just make it. But then the person that I was actually looking at purchasing this from was on vacation, and she's not going to be back in time to make one for Halloween. So I thought, well, that kind of seals the deal. I'm going to have to make it on my own because the lady that I was looking at getting one from is on vacation. So today I'm going to be making this out of Red Heart Shimmer yarn. I got all of these supplies at Michael's, and I picked up some different ribbons to put in the center along with some silver beads and some embellishments. I got these silver snowflakes. I found all this stuff at Michael's. I just kind of walked around and picked up what jumped out at me, and I decided to use this yarn because it's a little bit sparkly, so I thought that that would be really pretty for Elsa. So we're going to see how hard this is today, and I'll share the process with you guys. There isn't like really a lot of tutorials online, so that's what I thought I would share the process. I haven't found the process anywhere to speak of, so I thought I would just go ahead and share my process. Like I said, these wigs are seen a lot on custom boutique listings for dresses and things like that, so the idea is definitely out there, but I'm just going to try to make it my own today, and we'll see if it works or not. So I've got my measuring tape out here on the floor. I'm actually going to be making 7-foot strands of yarn and be cutting it in 7-foot strands. My reasoning there was it would 3.5 feet would be the center, and I'm going to start braiding in the center to make the halo that goes around their head, and then the longer braid has all of the strands together. And I chose this length because Natalie is fairly short, so I thought with the circumference around her head, it's probably around 20-21 inches, so it's just shy of 2 feet. And then the braid, I really don't want any longer than probably about 2-3 feet because Natalie is only about less than 3 feet tall. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the lengths, and I can always make it a little bit shorter. So that's why I decided on 7 instead of 6. So you may want to do like more for maybe Bella. I would maybe go to 8. For a younger person even than Natalie, I would maybe even go a little bit shorter, but I'm going to go for 7, and I'll let you know how that goes. Alright, so I'm just cutting them in groups of 10 and then setting them over here to the side, and then based on how thick this is, I'm thinking probably 60. This is 10, so if I double it up, it'll be 20, so if each part of the braid has 20, that should be a pretty good thickness. So I'm going to go ahead and cut another 10 out and start grouping the yarn strands together by 10s. The only bad part is I've gotten my cat that loves yarn's attention doing this. So I'm just cutting the pieces out and grouping them by 10. And I could definitely see where having a child help you pull it down to the 1 every single time would be beneficial. Alright, so I've got my 60 strands all cut out, and I just have them in groups of 10. So I'm going to start putting them in groups of 20, and then I'll have 3 bundles of the yarn strands, and I'm going to find the center. My yarn bundles are in strings, 20 strings, and it's 3 separate bundles now. So the center point is going to be 42 inches. That's exactly half of 7 foot. I'm just going to try to keep the center of the yarn straight because I can always, you know, cut the ends off if they're not exactly even. I just approximated. That's what I always do with crafts, is approximate 7 feet. So if it's not even, I can always cut it off at the end of the braid. But I'm going to start braiding at 42 inches and then go out to the sides, either side from 42. And I'm going to make the halo from the center. And then once I get enough for the circumference, then I'm going to start putting everything into one big braid. So I'm just going to use my center one right here as kind of my touch point to kind of keep a handle on where 7 feet is, and keep an eye on the 42 inch, and then it's going to start here and start crisscrossing them over and start the braid. So here's what my beginning crisscross looks like to start the braid out at either side, and I'm going to do, just depending on the child's circumference, Natalie's head is actually a pretty decent size for how small her overall body is, so I'm going to start doing at least 6 to 8 inches on either side to start getting the circumference going. And the braiding part is actually pretty easy if you have girls. I obviously have to do braids a lot in my house, but I'm just going to be crossing over the strands and just trying to keep it tight as I go. So I'm going to cross that over the center, and then I'm just going to tuck this over from the left side and keep the strands even, and then pull it taut. So you can see I braided about 8 inches on that side, and I still have about 2.5 to 3 feet of the braid left, so I'm going to start braiding to this direction and get the center halo part done, and then I'm going to pull it all together and start braiding. All right, so here is my centerpiece. So I actually have a center point on this since I braided that direction and braided that direction. And if you don't like that look, you could just start at one side and just braid it all the way down so it's one uniform braid. But I wanted to try this where it's, you know, there's actually a defined center on it and it still looks braided. It just, if you can tell, it goes one direction then it goes the other. So there's a defined center on it. So what I'm going to do now is I've separated it out so it's in the 3 different parts. I'm going to take this and start to wrap it around so it makes the halo for the top of the wig. Keep the 3 pieces of yarn separate because the center one over here I'm going to put together with the center over here and then match up the 2 sides as well. So hopefully that makes sense. So I'm going to bring it together like this and then match them up. And then I'm going to start braiding again. So this is actually the thing that's going to go on the top of the head, and then this is the long braid that's going to go down the rack. And then I'm going to actually try to add embellishments to each strand, so I'm going to add those in now. You can just see I have a ton of yarn left over, so I could probably make 3 or more wigs out of one thing of yarn. So if you are only planning on making 1 or 2, you would only need to get 1 thing of yarn. And I might like make some for all of our friends now. So anyhow, here are my embellishments that I'm going to put in. I'm just going to pick a different random one for each strand, and I was thinking about using this one to kind of tie a bow on the end. I like that white with the sparkly for the end of it. So I'm just going to cut to length some of this teal, some of the pearls, and then some of this light blue. And then I'm going to put 1 in each of the strands and then get to braiding. 2 strands that are coming out of each side of the braid, I'm just putting those together, and I'm going to go ahead and form those together. I'm going to randomly pick which ribbon I want to put here, so I'm going to tie it around the top and then put the length going down in there, so there'll just be like a little color going down in the braid. Alright, so then I have 3 different sections. I have the kind of silver pearl section, I have the light blue section, and then I have the teal section. So I'm just going to turn this around and start braiding. So here's what it's looking like so far, and I like the little embellishments because after you braid it, they just kind of peek through, so it's kind of just like a surprise. And actually the braid, I could probably floof it out a little bit, but it's not super thick, so I think that even if I did this for my older daughter, who is 4.5, I would maybe even double up the strands, possibly, maybe not 120, but maybe 90, try to figure out some other derivative of 3, and just make it a little bit fuller. But this should be really cute for my 2-year-old. So obviously this whole video assumes you know how to braid, but I'm just taking the strands and I'm putting them over and I'm trying to keep the yarn taut. I'm going to go ahead and loosen it up just a little bit to give it the floof in the bigger braid, so it just makes it look a little bit bigger. Then I'm just going to keep braiding this all the way down and then use my silver ribbon at the end to tie a bow on it. So here is the finished braid, and I just used a little bit of yarn to tie it off. I'm going to trim all this up so it's just a regular hair length, and then I'm going to add the white ribbon on the end. Alright, so there's the halo at the top, and there is the finished Elsa braid, and 7 feet of yarn yielded about an 18-inch braid, so not even quite 2 feet. But my 2-year-old is very tiny. She's about 35 inches tall, so this braid is going to be pretty big on her. I think that if I made one for my older daughter, I would maybe do it at about 2.5 feet, but we are going to be using these at Disney and for Halloween, you know, going to be walking around, so I didn't want a super long braid. So whenever she gets up from nap, I'm going to show this to her and see what she thinks. Just going to use a little bit of glue and add some random snowflakes on here, and this will be all done. Alright, and there you go. There's the finished braid. I really feel like the snowflakes really kind of add that finishing touch to it. And these are just some glitter snowflakes that I found actually in the Christmas section already at Michael's. So I think that the girls really like this, and we'll have to see what Natalie thinks about it. And I actually ended up just tying these on with some extra pieces of yarn, so that way I didn't have to get the glue gun out and everything. So that is our finished Elsa braid. Here comes my little Elsa right now. Alright, come over here. Let me show you what this is. What does this look like?
Braid.
A braid. Whose braid does that look like? Does it look like Elsa braid?
Can I carry it?
You could carry it. You know what? You could wear it too. Can Mommy show you?
Can we put it on my head?
Yes, let Mommy show you. Let me see. Ready? You're Elsa! Look at you!
Let go.
Oh,
Oh hold it back anymore.
Oh, what do you think, Isabella? You like this? You want one? Mommy can do Rapunzel or Elsa. You can pick whichever one you want. I knew which one Sissy was going to want. You can go get your dress, Sissy?
I want Rapunzel.
You want Rapunzel braid?
Yeah.
All right.
Let it go. Let it go. One sky.
Yes, honestly, this length is perfect for her. I would not want this to be any longer because otherwise she would trip and fall on it, right? This is a perfect Elsa length. I love it. I love it. Very pretty. You put your Elsa dress on?
But it's a frozen heart.
Is it Frozen Heart? What do you think? You like it?
But it's too big.
It's too big. The top was a little bit too big.
It's not. Yeah, it fit me. That was
We made it fit, didn't we? We put a little tie on the back. I tied it off just to make it about an inch or two shorter. So if I remake it, which I have a feeling if they play with this one, I'll have to remake one for Halloween. But when I remake it, I'll remake it a little bit shorter in the headband because what happens is this yarn stretches, and it stretches a lot once they start wearing it. It probably stretched out 2 inches just right after she put it on and had it on for about 5 minutes. So I definitely take that into account. What do you think?
good.
You want Rapunzel? We'll make you an Elsa one too, okay?
A frozen heart.
I wouldn't want the braid to be any longer than this because it definitely gets stepped on. This is a really good length braid. For Natalie is 2.5 years old.
Here. Here for me. Yeah.
A turkey for you. And they're off. Say thanks for watching.
That's why
She,
sparkles.
she loves the little sparkly snowflakes on there. Those are a hit, huh?
That is sparkles. Are those are sparkles? Yeah. Can you take a picture with my eyes are blind?
Yes, I'll take a picture with your Elsa braid. It's very cute.